Hi, it's Ariel here, and I want to do a little bit of a share and a little bit of a reading from the Post-Traumatic Growth Guidebook on the topic of conflict. It's a pretty ripe topic right now, and we are having a lot of modeling of poor conflict management in our world. There's a tremendous amount of heat and fire and reactivity and aggression and disrespect. And when we are seeing that around us and seeing it in the news and feeling it, it can also stir up a lot of our own historical relationship to unresolved conflicts or even the fear of conflict. It might stir up internal conflicts with yourself, where there's disrespect or bullying that's happening inside, or it might be happening within your home where your fuse is short, you're reacting to the people around you. My intention for what I'm sharing today is really to stand into the possibility that conflict can actually take us into an experience of greater connection and can resolve into an experience of kindness. Now, let's use a caveat here, which is that not all relationships have the capacity to move in that direction. And when we're being bullied, it's important to stand up against a bully. We're not necessarily going to come toward someone that's disrespecting us with that open-hearted stance. But when you're dealing with conflict within yourself or with a loved one, it's really important to know that that can be resolved, and it can actually be a very nourishing, positive experience when it's handled skillfully. So I'll do a little bit of a reading here, speaking to both sides, how we want to approach conflict with a loved one, and also perhaps what we need to do when it's someone that's injurious to us. So to start here, we really want to come to that awareness that small amounts of disconnection and conflict can actually lead to a deepened sense of trust and love. Healthy conflict requires tolerance for difference, disconnection, and discord. Letting someone know that they have hurt your feelings can feel frightening. Taking responsibility for hurting someone that you love can evoke shame. It takes wisdom to refine our primal reactions into caring, thoughtful responses. Negotiating conflict requires the ability to accept uncertainty, ambiguity, and disappointment. There may be times when you want to be right. I know that shows up for me sometimes, right? And you might want to be right so badly that you forget to step into the other person's shoes and see things from their point of view. However, rigidly holding on to your point of view or the need to be right can exacerbate the experience of distance, misunderstanding, or confusion. In contrast, navigating conflict relies upon our capacity to change our perspective, to look at a situation from another point of view. This is called cognitive flexibility. It's the ability to change how we're thinking about a person or a situation. Cognitive flexibility helps prevent us from being stuck in one way of thinking about a situation. It allows us to adapt and respond to new information. It's a valuable skill when it comes to conflict resolution. Healthy conflict involves a willingness to show up in an open-hearted and honest manner. Now, once again, we're talking about dealing with the conflict with someone with whom we ultimately feel safe enough, right? And we can practice opening ourselves up to conflicting views, competing needs, your own and another person's fears, and the underlying pain that is part of the shared human experience. In time, we can learn to compromise without the need to make yourself or another person wrong. Developing a healthy capacity to handle conflicts involves learning to respect others even when you feel angry. And you commit to this by refraining from putting other people down and apologizing when you have done something wrong. Healthy conflict also asks that you develop the capacity to ask for what you need, even though you risk being told no or feeling rejected. And once again, it's wise to practice this in the context of a caring relationship. It's a good rule of thumb to work out a conflict when there's mutual commitment to the relationship and a desire for a positive outcome. Then the task is to take turns being the person to bring up where your distress is, what's bothering you. Rather than pushing away from connection, we can see what happens when we return to the breath. Stay curious about your experience. As you become increasingly skilled at this kind of nonviolent communication, these strategies allow us to skillfully work with a wider range of our relational experiences in our workplace or with friends. Ultimately, we can practice skillful listening when engaging with people who have different cultural, religious, or political perspectives. It's important right now, isn't it? We don't get a whole lot of modeling. But let's talk about the other side here, recognizing that sometimes nonviolence can backfire if we think that that equates non-action. So there's this Indian parable that conveys this principle. There was once a snake who terrorized a village. He would bite the villagers without reason. And one day, a wise sage visited the village and observed the snake's behavior. He took it upon himself to teach the snake the principle of nonviolence. The snake took great interest in the wise man's words and accepted the teaching. 1 year later, the wise man returned to the village to see that the snake was badly bruised and beaten. "What happened?" exclaimed the wise sage. The snake said, "You told me not to bite people, but now the villagers throw rocks at me and they poke me with sticks." The wise man replied, "I did teach you not to be violent, but I never told you not to hiss." As you can see, there are times when you must stand up and protect what is worth protecting, especially when your own safety or the safety of another person is at risk. So, allowing yourself to just hold that polarity when it comes to conflict, and how we can, when it's possible, come forward with openness, a willingness to look at something differently, and those moments where we need to really step up and speak to what's not right. And I think that that's really where we're at in our world right now, is this recognition that we can't be passive, that it's time to speak up and take action, and to stand up for goodness and rightness and care and kindness and respect. So my words for you today, in all kindness and respect for you and your wisdom, and just the recognition that it's not easy being human. And thank you for staying in the game, right? We're in this together. All right. Till next time.